Thank you for joining me. My name is Ruby L. Thomas, and welcome to Hump, Hope, Uplifting, Motivational Prayer. Thank you for subscribing. Please share my videos and let your family and friends all over the world and everybody know about Hump, Hope, Uplifting, Motivational Prayer. So today's topic is very exciting. I'm happy to share with you it is okay to be afraid. Today's topic is about being afraid, and it's okay to be afraid. It is okay to remember that God has not brought us this far to leave us. So today's video is all about there are times when you don't feel hopeful. So I'm going to start off by reading Matthew 14, starting at verse 28, ending at verse 31. And it reads, Lord, if it is you, Peter replied, tell me to come to you on the water. So as we can see, Peter was talking to Jesus. And Jesus says to Peter in verse 29, come, he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink. And he cried out, Lord, save me. And then it reads in verse 31, immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. You of little faith, he said, why did you doubt? Just like you, I have my times of doubt. I have my times when I am afraid, just like Peter. So we're using Peter today as an example to show and to see that being afraid and having doubt, Jesus will be there for us when immediately, it says in verse 31, immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. And Jesus said to Peter, you of little faith, why did you doubt? Our fears and our doubts, Jesus knows all about them, and he will always be there to save us, even when he asks us to go and walk to him onto the sea, to get out of the boat, to get out of our comfort zone, to a place where Jesus will know that he has already told us to go, and he will protect us no matter where he sends us to go. Let me go back to the beginning. Peter said, Lord, if it is you, tell me to come to you on the water. And Jesus said to him, come. When Jesus tells us to come, we are to go. And then Peter got out of the boat on the water. He gets out of the boat. Imagine this, if you would, please. He gets out of the boat on the water and came towards Jesus. So in order for Peter to get out of the boat and to come onto the water, that tells us that Peter was walking on the water as well. He took steps on the water. It doesn't tell us how many steps he took or how long he was walking on the water, but his faith was enough to get him out of the boat to take the steps. And then the wind come. I'm imagining it was a strong wind to get him off balance. And he was afraid. And at that time, he began to sink. And he cried out, Lord, save me. He cried out, Lord, save me. And the Lord was right there to save him. And just like the Lord was right there to save Peter, he is here now to save us, even though we are afraid. I'm going to read a poem to you, and this poem is by Harper Nichols. And this is on page 3 of her book, All Along You Were Blooming. If you can see this, the book is All Along You Were Blooming, and this is a really good book of poems written by Harper Nichols. And page 3, it reads, there will be days when you do not feel fearless and you choose to get up and go out to the sea anyway. Now, the sea could be the world. And my friend, let me tell you, that is what it means to be brave. It is that gentle shove towards the water that says, I will go and I will go afraid. It is not a feeling. It is not a thought. It is that inward wind that pulls you out of sleep and says, I will go forth just like Peter. And with all I have now, a breath, a dozen steps, and a pocket full of fears. But no matter what tries to pull me back, I will find the strength to be here. I take this and I use this and I pull it across the lines of exactly what Peter was going through. Peter was okay until his fears and doubts got in. Peter was okay as he began to walk on the water. And Peter got up anyway, and he walked onto the sea. And my friend, let me tell you, that is what it means to be brave. Peter was brave for even trying. Peter was brave for trying. And that is when the gentle shove towards the water that says, I will go, and I will go afraid. Peter got up out of the boat, began to walk on the water, even though he was afraid. He had a pocket full of fears. Don't allow our pocket full of fears to weigh us down, that we don't get up out of the boat and walk towards Jesus with the faith and belief, knowing that he will be there to catch us immediately. The Bible tells us in verse 31, Jesus immediately reached out his hand and caught him. He didn't let him fall. He didn't let him drown. He did not allow him to drown. He did not allow him to sink. So I want us to remember this, and I want this to be our prayer for today. Peace over chaos, love over hate, healing over pain, comfort over sorrow, light over darkness, joy over sadness, and hope over fear. Hope over being afraid. Hope and believing and trusting in God, knowing that he did not bring us this far to leave us, that he will immediately reach out his hand and catch us. He would immediately be right there for us, for he said in his word that he will never leave nor forsake us. And the same God that said to Peter, bid, come unto me, is the same God that is here for us today. We are going through a lot. There's a lot of fear. Many of us are afraid of the unknown and what's going to happen in the future. How are our kids going to go back to school? What will that look like? What's going on with our jobs, with the economy? Certainly we're keeping an eye on politics as well. We're looking at the civil unrest and the fears that are going on with mothers and fathers that are losing their sons and daughters in a time where there is just mass confusion. But we know that our God that we serve is the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. Let's be like Peter. Let's be like Peter. And even though we may be afraid, and even though we may have a pocket full of fears, we're still going to trust in God. I love you all. I appreciate you all and your support. Take care. Be well. Be safe. God bless. And remember to always hump, hope, uplifting, motivational prayer. Mwah. Smooches.